is Sonia Fitzpatrick. I'm a chartered physiotherapist, a Pilates instructor and a riding instructor. And I'm very passionate about how Pilates can help your riding position and your posture on and off the horse. My first video was about how to identify your posture type in standing, and it's very important you watch this first and try and identify which posture type you are. Then you will be able to take more from this video, which talks about how you can correct your posture in the saddle. So I'm going to explain the correct posture type in the saddle, followed by the two main posture types we identified in the last video, and how that impacts on your riding. So first of all, we're going to look at the posture in the saddle. The pelvis in the ideal position should be vertical, which means the pubic bone and the front of the pelvis here should be in an upright position. And then when that is vertical, the waistband should look horizontal. The tailbone sticks out very slightly, and if you look at the curves in the spine, the low back curve should be small and go in very slightly. The thoracic or upper back curve should go out very slightly, and the neck or the cervical curve should go in very slightly. And you're thinking about lifting your breastbone and keeping your elbows down by your side, your hands in front of you in line with the line of the reins, and the hip should be in line with the seam of your jodhpurs, so directly below your hip joint. The first posture type we looked at is the lordotic back, where the pelvis tips forward, the waistband is now tilted forward, and the pubic bone has disappeared underneath the front of my pelvis. So these bones here are sticking out more than my pubic bone. I can now feel a lot more weight on the front of my pelvis, which of course depends on the shape of your saddle. So in this position, I can feel approximately 50% at the front and 50% on my sit bones, which some people say is something which we used to strive for, but in fact this produces a fork seat. So in an ideal position, where your weight is more on your sit bones, your pelvis is vertical at the front, and your waistband is horizontal, you should have 78 to 80% of your weight on the sit bones and about 20 to 30% of your weight on the front of your pelvis, and that obviously depends on the shape of your saddle. So to correct the lordotic posture, you need to come from that tilted forward position, recruit your abdominals, which run from the bottom of the rib cage to the pubic bone, and you need to shorten your abdominals and pull your tummy in to sit your sit bones more in the saddle, so you have a little bit more weight on your sit bones and a little bit less weight at the front than you do when you normally sit in your lordotic posture. The other thing that can happen is that the leg can be drawn back in this position, and you can also see sometimes a stoop in the upper back, but some people are very upright in their whole back, including the tipping forward of the pelvis. So don't be fooled by the upper back, just look at the position of your pelvis. To identify this posture type, the pelvis has to tip forward. The other posture type from the vertical position is the sway back, where the pelvis tips backwards, the waistband now goes backwards, the tailbone tucks under, and again is often associated with a stoop and a poking chin. Occasionally the legs also are pushed forward, and this is really the classic chair seat. Although not always do you see the legs change and the upper body, just a tilting too much of the pelvis. Now I can feel probably 100% of my weight on my sit bones and much less, almost no weight on the front of my pelvis, and that's a clue as to which posture type you are when you're in the saddle. Occasionally, people are a sway back when they're off the horse, and they get very nervous and tense on the horse, and they tilt their pelvis forwards and draw their leg up, and they actually can be a lordotic back or develop a lordotic posture in the saddle through tension, even though off the horse they've identified a sway back position. So it's always worth checking both positions, the standing and the position in the saddle. So remember, the arms should hang vertically next to your side. There should be a line from the ear, through the shoulder, down through the elbow and down through the hip and the middle of the seam of the jodhpurs. The heel, as I said, should be below the hip joint, which is below the centre of the seam of your trousers or your jodhpurs. Think of the head growing tall from the back of the neck and the chin tucking in to make sure that your shoulders stay square, but you have flexibility in your spine so that you can accommodate the movement of the horse when you're riding. I hope that's helped to show the effect that your posture type has when you're in the saddle, and the next video is going to be using the gym ball to do some exercises to improve your flexibility around your pelvis and hip area, which also helps your riding and your awareness of your seat in the saddle. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.